Today in payroll accounting, we are going to look at laws affecting payroll. Many laws affect payroll. Some of these include the Fair Labor Standards Act, or FLSA, Federal Insurance Contributions Act, or FICA, also known as FICA, Insurance Tax Withholding Laws, Unemployment Tax Acts, Fair Employment Laws, and other federal and state laws. Let's start with the Fair Labor Standards Act. This is the Federal Wage and Hour Law of 1938. It has minimum wage and overtime pay requirements. It also includes equal pay for equal work provisions, and it sets laws for employers involved in interstate commerce or in production of goods or services for interstate commerce. This act and the laws require payroll records to be maintained. Next is the Federal Insurance Contributions Act. This is comprised of two taxes. One, the OASDI, or Old Age and Survivors Trust Fund, and the Federal Disability Insurance Trust Fund. The other part is HI, the Health Insurance Plan, or Medicare. Both taxes are paid by both the employer and the employee, and it imposes tax on net earnings for self-employed individuals. Next, we have income tax withholding laws. You'll see federal income tax and state and local income tax. Federal income tax is on employee earnings and it's withheld from paychecks. It uses the percentage formula or wage bracket chart. State and local income tax is also withheld from paychecks and it's different by state. Not all states have a state income tax. Next are the Unemployment Tax Acts. We have FUTA and SUTA. FUTA stands for Federal Unemployment Tax Act. It's taxed on the employer and it's used to pay state and federal admin expenses, not unemployment benefits. SUTA is the State Unemployment Tax Act. It is a mandatory unemployment insurance and it varies by state. The Social Security Administration outlines standards followed by each state, and it's used to pay unemployment benefits. Now we're going to look at some fair employment laws. The first one is Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is also entitled EEO, or Equal Employment Opportunity. It prohibits the discrimination in hiring, firing, promoting, or compensating based on color, race, religion, national origin, or gender. Sexual harassment is also prohibited. This applies to all employers who engage in an industry affecting commerce and who employ 15 or more workers in each of 20 or more weeks in the current or preceding calendar year. Additionally, the Civil Rights Act of 1991 grants compensatory and punitive damages in cases where discrimination is intentional. Next up is the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, or ADEA. Employers, employment agencies, and labor unions cannot use age to discriminate in hiring, firing, or promoting. This applies to employers engaged in interstate commerce with 20 or more workers. It provides protection to workers over 40 years old with a few key exceptions. An exception is that executives who are 65 years or older who have held a high policy-making position during a 2-year period prior to retirement are entitled to an annual retirement benefit of at least $44,000. Such employees can be forcibly retired. The employer must keep accurate personnel and payroll records with this act. Another fair employment law is Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as ADA. This prohibits employers with 15 or more employees, employment agencies, labor organizations, or joint labor management committees from discriminating against qualified persons based on their disability. This prohibition applies to job application procedure, hiring, advancement, termination, compensation, job training, and other conditions of employment. Under this act, reasonable accommodations must be provided. Now let's look at other federal laws affecting payroll. The first one is Federal Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996. This requires employers to report information on all new hires within 20 days of their hire to the state agency. This is going to include their name, address, and social security number. Records are coordinated with the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement, and fines of up to $25 per new hire can happen for failing to report. This is specifically used to help enforce child support obligations. Next is the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986. This is also known as the IRCA, and it bars hiring and retaining those unauthorized to work in the U.S. Employees must complete the Form I-9, which is the Employment Eligibility Verification under this act. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services may audit and enforce civil penalties for record-keeping violations. E-Verify is a government-run system that allows employers to check employment eligibility of new hires from Form I-9 information with the Social Security Administration and the Department of Homeland Security. Next, we have the Family and Medical Leave Act of 1993. This is also called FMLA, and it covers employers with 50-plus employees. Under this act, the employee is guaranteed 12 weeks of unpaid leave for birth, adoption, critical care for a child, spouse, or parent. Leave may be used all at once or at separate times within 12 months of the qualifying event. The employer must continue health care coverage and guarantee the employee returns to the same or a comparable job. Federal tax credits are available for employers who provide paid family medical leave. FMLA expanded to include when a family member is also on active duty or line of duty injury or illness. Employers can exempt employees in specific situations, and some states have paid family leave plans. Next is the Uniform Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act of 1994. This is also known as USERRA, and it applies to military personnel who may take leaves of absences from their civilian jobs for active military service and to return with accrued seniority. Reinstatement must be to the original position or an equivalent position, unless the personnel was dishonorably discharged. The return must be granted within 2 weeks of a job request, and health benefits may be started without any waiting period. Next is the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. It's also known as ERISA, and it safeguards pension funds and ensures workers covered by private pension plans who receive benefits in accordance with credited years of service. This particular act requires stringent record keeping. Next is the Affordable Care Act of 2010. This has two pieces of legislation, part of which was repealed in 2017. It includes Healthcare and Education Reconciliation Act and the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. It was designed to expand health insurance coverage, increasing benefits and lowering costs. State-based health insurance exchanges for those who don't have employer-provided coverage or are ineligible for public programs like Medicaid. Employers with 50-plus full-time employees are required to report to both full-time employees and the IRS. Employers with less than 50 employees can purchase affordable insurance and may also receive a tax credit. Some other state laws that you may see include workers' compensation laws. These are designed to protect employees and their dependents against losses due to work-related injury, illness, or death. Additionally, Some states have state disability benefit laws. They've established these laws requiring employers to provide disability benefits, and this applies even if the disability, illness, or disease did not arise due to the employment.